everybody, welcome back to Tanisha's Beauty Supply. Today our topic is going to be when employees or workers steal from you. What are some of the strategies you can incorporate into your business and beauty supply store so that you can minimize the theft that comes from your employees? Well, I will tell you that inside theft is the worst theft you could have, because it throws your system completely off. Your inventory is off, and especially if you have a business where you have other people's products in your store, if you have someone from the inside stealing, it can really hurt your business in a dramatic and a costly way. It also doesn't feel good being a Black beauty supply store owner, and you're hiring your people a lot of times, trying to build a community, trying to build a legacy with your people, and then they turn around and steal from you. That can be difficult. That can be so hard to deal with. So I know this is a topic that beauty supply store owners are struggling with. What do I do when my own workers steal from me? Maybe my own family members steal from me. They just maybe go in a cash register and take what they feel like they should take. One of the first and foremost, most important things that you need to do in your beauty supply store is make sure you have systems in place. You have to treat your business as its own entity, not dependent on you to be there because you're the only one you can trust, not dependent on your family to be there because they're the only ones you can trust. You have to think like Sally Beauty Supply, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Walmart. The system is what's going to protect you. Now, I will let you know, if you're going to be in retail, you have to get used to theft. Theft is a part of retail. There is no multi-million-dollar corporation that does not experience theft. The only thing you can do is minimize it. So I had this happen to me. One of the workers that I hired, she was stealing. She was stealing bundles of hair. I do have a camera system in my store. She had let me know that she was going to be quitting because she was moving to a different area. On the last week that she was leaving is when I was able to see on the camera that she was taking things. She was on schedule to work and she did not show up. And as you know, getting started and owning your own beauty supply store, most likely you're not able to have 2 and 3 people on the clock at the same time. So if you're depending on one person to open the store and they don't open the store or they don't call, then you don't have a person there right away. But because I do look at my cameras, I watch my cameras, I was able to see, oh, she didn't come today. So I called her, no answer. So basically her last week going out, she had been planning on how she was going to get out with taking some of our inventory. I called my manager. I let my manager know that there was no one in the store to cover the store. We quickly got someone in there, and that's part of your systems. Having someone as a backup in case you have someone that does you like that, in case you have a worker that just doesn't show up, doesn't call or anything. So I got the manager in there. We covered the shift. The girl never called. She never came back or any of that. I already had been skeptical actually from day one when I hired her. I had already been watching. I watched my cameras more than usual because a lot of my workers are from referrals. This particular worker was not through referral. And in some of my other videos where I give you tips on hiring people or bringing people on board, Facebook can be one of the ways that you do that. Sometimes you just need to get someone in there. She was hired through Facebook. I connected with her through Facebook, brought her in, trained her, and but I had already been watching her because I did not personally know her. So I really had already been watching her through the cameras. I would see there were times when the store doors would be locked and she wouldn't be in the store. One time she was out for 30 minutes and I ended up calling, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Is everything okay? She said, oh yeah, I just had to go to the bathroom because I started my menstrual cycle, blah, blah, blah. So she knew that I had been watching the cameras consistently, and that's important. So what I want to bring to you and share with you, is make sure that you follow your systems, you institute systems, you include systems in your business, and then follow them. Watching cameras is one way to follow your system. Your workers need to know that you watch cameras. I have a Ring system where I can watch and hear. I can even speak to workers through the camera system, but I don't do that. I don't want to scare them, but they do know that I can look in at any time and see what's going on in the store. And I promise you, I am so sure that if I had not been watching my cameras, if she wasn't aware that I was watching my cameras the way I was, she would have stolen a whole lot more than 6 or 7 bundles of hair. So she needed to know that one time, and sometimes workers will do things that will let you know that they don't have integrity. So when the camera system came in, because when we hired her, it took us I was already working on the camera system, but she was working maybe a week or two before I actually had the camera system. And when the camera system came in, she said, oh, cameras. That is an indicator sometimes. And I've had that happen twice with workers in the past, that they are almost bothered by the fact that you have cameras. When you hear a comment like that, keep your eyes open, watch. As Tyler Perry said, you better watch, So that can be an indicator, because if a person is up to no good, then they care that you have camera systems. That bothers them. So camera systems are really good, because if the person is gone on break too long, then you'll know that. But you do have to watch your camera system. A lot of people will include a camera system and then they won't watch it. I've had another girl that was stealing from me right in front of the camera. The camera was looking directly down on the cash register, on the calculator and everything, and she still was, what she was doing was ringing items up and not putting enough money in the drawer and then taking change back. So basically another form of stealing. She just felt like, I guess, that if I'm looking at the camera system, that I see that she's putting money in there, but I'm not paying attention as to how much she's putting in there. So running your business from home means that you definitely have to be able to look in on your store multiple times a day. And you have to pay attention, and your workers need to know that you are paying attention. Back to the story. Like I said, she quit and never came back, which she wasn't going to be able to come back anyway, because that's a no call, no show. I feel like, you're not going to get anywhere in life stealing. Okay, you got away with 6 bundles of hair. Might have cost me every bit of 6 bundles of hair may have cost me every bit of $200, and you stole some other little things. Okay, so let's say you made off with $300 worth of inventory from our store. You don't have me as a reference, so you can't use me as a reference. I'm the type of person that I will show you how to get into the beauty supply store when you work in my store. There's other opportunities that my workers have when it comes to business that so many other people will not do. So what I did was I sent her an email and I let her know. I said, don't forget to subscribe to Tanisha's Beauty Supply channel to continue to get updates and great ideas for your beauty supply store. Were you planning to pay for the items that you took the last day you worked? Basically, I wanted her to know that I know you took items that didn't belong to you, because people need to know that. I wanted her to know that. And then I let her know that, if you ever run across another person in life who is willing to give you investment opportunity like I was willing to do, make sure you appreciate it, because there's not a lot of people in this world who are like that. I also let her know that we have to support each other. We have to be there for each other as a race, because if we don't, we're going to keep lining up and we're going to keep giving millions of dollars to Asians who care nothing about us. So sometimes when people are young, even though they do things to make you mad, like steal from you, sometimes they need to hear knowledge. Now, what they do with that knowledge down the road of their life, I can't say, what they'll do, but they need to hear it, because it's not just, oh, I got away with a bundle of hair to do this style, I got it free. And it's more than that. You are participating in the depression of your own people. It's very difficult as African Americans to make it in this industry. So we as African Americans cannot steal from each other. We cannot steal from each other. And that's basically what I let her know. But I wanted to put something in her mind. So as always, in any video that I bring you, I always bring you tips and helpful strategies that you can do to avoid these things. Some of the helpful strategies and tips that you can do to minimize the theft in your business is, number one, you can ask for a reference. So this particular person that worked for me, I did not require a reference. I know what I'm working with. I know that it's a job. It doesn't pay a whole lot, but it's not a lot of hard work either. So when you have a job that pays minimum wage, you're not getting college educated people with great credit. So we know what we're dealing with. And then especially in our communities where we have the younger African Americans, a lot of them have stories. A lot of them struggle. So I already knew what I was dealing with when it comes to some of the people that I hire. But one of the things I would encourage you to do is to make sure that they've had a job on their resume. And call at least one reference, if not two. Call at least one reference, because let's look at the scenario where she left with no call, she stole. What she showed me is that she doesn't care about having a job reference, which if a person doesn't care about a job reference, that tells you something about the fact that you might not want to have them in your store. So I would encourage you to check at least 1 to 2 references to make sure that they've held a job, especially if you can get someone who's worked for a large corporation. They've already had a background check, so that can be helpful. I would also encourage you to make sure that you know the blind spots in your store. She knew the blind spot and she used that blind spot. I saw her on the camera taking a headband, a bling headband from the jewelry case. And she did it in such a way, I could see what she was doing, but she was really sneaky with it. She was acting as if she was moving one of the clutches in the jewelry case to another spot, but she was swiping the headband so I could see it. But I had noticed there was another major blind spot in my store, and this is where she was doing all the activity for stealing. So know your blind spots. Another thing I would suggest is make sure we definitely do cash sheets where workers have to record the money going in. They have to count their drawer down. So that's why she wasn't able to get away with more theft, because we do count the drawer. The next person has to count their drawer, and it has to be verified by the person after them. So that system was already in place. But to go even further, I would encourage you to make sure you always balance that drawer. Make sure that drawer is always balanced, not just counted, but also balanced as well. Your workers ringing themselves up. Everybody can't be trusted to do that. So I would suggest let your manager ring up your workers or the next worker, but them ringing themselves up, unless you just really know these workers, then I would say some people cannot be trusted to do that. They cannot be trusted to ring themselves up. Another suggestion is just really paying attention to your camera system. How many bags are they leaving with? Are they leaving with bags through the middle of the day? My suggestion would be, if you have an 8-hour, if your store is open for 8 to 10 hours, you should check your camera system no less than 5 or 6 times a day. Now, as you grow into a larger entity where you own several stores, some of these tasks can be passed on to a regional manager. But while you're growing, you have to be the one that's checking your camera system often. So these are some of the suggestions that I would give you for reducing the amount of theft. And most importantly, don't beat yourself up. You're not going to be a multi-million-dollar corporation and not experience theft. You're not stupid. You don't need to feel embarrassed. You always just need to learn, where do we need to tighten up in our company so that we can reduce the theft. So even though she was stealing, she was not able to get away with as much stealing as she would have wanted to get away with, because we had systems in place. But it showed me what we can do differently to decrease the theft even more. Please include in the comments some of the things that you do in your company to reduce theft. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. I'm always going to bring you helpful videos for your beauty supply store. Even if you're a business owner and you don't own a beauty supply store, but you own something else, we're always going to have helpful ideas that's going to help you advance. The overall goal that I always talk about is to get your business to the point where it operates without you. If you have to go into the hospital for 3 or 4 weeks, 3 or 4 months, you're out of town, your business is still functioning without you. One of the ways that you can reduce theft in that way, check your inventory often. Have your manager check your inventory often. So now, one of the policies that I have instituted when it comes to our expensive commodities like hair bundles, weekly, several times a week, we check the bundles. So if our computer system says that we're supposed to have 3 12-inch bundles, we're supposed to have 10 14-inch bundles, if we're supposed to have 10 18-inch bundles, 6 30-inch bundles, then we're checking the computer, we're counting the bundles that are hanging on the wall to make sure that we have that amount. Of course, those expensive things you would have behind the counter. So it's highly unlikely that your customers are coming in your store without anybody seeing them and going behind your counter and reaching up and taking down your $100 bundles. That's highly unlikely. Not impossible, but highly unlikely. So that means that it's an inside job. For example, if you're supposed to have 3 20-inch bundles that are hanging on the wall, your computer says you're supposed to have 3 and you only have 1. 1 or 2 things have occurred. One could be that there's a mistake with whoever rang up the bundle. If they didn't put in the right code, then that could appear that your hair has been stolen. But it doesn't mean it's been stolen. It could mean that the person that rang it up didn't put in the right code. They may have put the code of another size bundle in when they rang it up. The other reason would be that someone took it. So what it will do, it allows you to be on alert that, okay, and what you can do is you can put in a note, the date, how many were missing, and your initials. And that way you're tracking how many bundles, and I'm just using bundles as an example, but how many products are leaving. I do the same thing with things like edge control, braid hair. And so if we see a consistent number of those items missing, then we know, okay, we need to change the placement, or we might have an inside thief, or we need to watch more closely with this particular product. So your inventory checks are crucial. They can't be once a year. They have to be ongoing, weekly. And if we had done more inventory checks with her being there, then she may have gotten away with 3 bundles instead of 6. So that is something that's important. Your pack hair is under that category because, as you know, pack hair, you can sell that sells for 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 90, 100, over $100 a pack depending on the length. Those are items that you want to constantly check weekly with your inventory. It is very important to note that whenever you bring a worker on, always get a copy of their social security number and their driver's license. I do believe that if I had not obtained a copy of her driver's license and her social security card, that she would have definitely stole more from me than she stole. You can also prosecute workers if you can prove that they have stolen items. So that's one of the ways you can handle that. And you can let them know up front. I do prosecute thieves in my business, so you can let them know that. And that's your choice to decide whether or not you're going to prosecute. Another deterrent of theft, or a way to reduce theft, is to check your inventory often. So she was able to steal 6 bundles of hair. And what I noticed was there were 3 bundles of hair that had been tucked in a drawer. This was after she left. They had been tucked in a drawer, and that was strange because we don't do that. So what she was doing was seeing if we would miss the bundles. And then when she noticed we didn't miss the bundle, she went on ahead and probably stole her first set. And then stole another set probably the last day that she was leaving the store, the last day that she worked. Have your manager check your inventory often.
Tanisha's Beauty Supply, beauty, power and style, power and style. Tanisha's Beauty Supply, beauty, power and style, power and style. Got whatever you need.